Good afternoon, everybody. And on behalf of Team Triple B, led by Shri Bhupinder Singh Bhalla ji, who's currently, I think, in Europe today. And sir, thank you so much for joining us for this curtain raiser event. Before I proceed, I would just, as a matter of, dedication to service of late Shri Popli, request each one of us to observe just a moment of silence, please. Mr. Popli is no more with us as per the news available. He passed away this morning at the Delhi airport. And besides the qualifications and appointments he held, he was a very kind-hearted and a very benevolent man. And I think as friends, we have lost a great person in him. And as industry, we have lost a very good, spearhead of the industry who was trying to shape this industry since his days. I have seen him after leaving the army in Ereda, and he's always very proactive for stitching bonds between associations and people and stakeholders. So I think let's observe a moment of silence for him, please, if you're with me. Thank you. God be most kind. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered today to start off and rather kickstart the healthy environment of bioenergy and try and shape the contours of policy advocacy, partnerships, and build in more resilience in the system, get it more structured, and take the way forward. As a Triple B Summit, we endeavor to have all the three facets of bioenergy space. Namely, let me just elucidate. The first component of bioenergy, which we're talking about as the first B, is what has taken a very good shape in our country is in terms of the boiler industry, the densification, torrefication, and obviously the supply chain part which comes with it. The second B, which we talk about, is more wholesome today as our country endeavors and also with global partnership to head towards net zero transition. We are looking at biofuels in all their formats. So something is there already, like compressed biogas. Something is in the future, coming to hydrogen, LNG, and something we will be forced to do is something like sustainable aviation fuel. But however, the good part is that our country has met its mandates for the ethanol blending program, and we should all be very proud as stakeholders, not only from India but abroad, who were part of the journey. The third B, which we want to highlight through this summit, is the biomaterials. So whether it's bioplastic or chemicals or anything to do with the bioenergy space, is the biomaterial which we are looking at. So today, the industry is very, poignantly poised at a cusp of an energy revolution in India. And I think today is the time that we should dwell into a little bit more of details that how this particular summit will come about. So this summit actually was thought through by Shri Gaurav Kedia, Mr. Sharath Mishra, and also myself as three partners last year, because this was earlier being showcased as a net zero summit with a lot of dishes on the menu. But then we thought that it's prudent to take this shape of what our nation needs and what global alliances which we are stitching also needs. And you remember through G20, we went through the phase of curating the Global Biofuel Alliance as well. So Shri Bhalla ji is here with us, and he has been part of this journey to take it ahead for a long time when he was also towards the end as Secretary MNRE. Without much ado, what I'll do is I'll lay down the format and the aim for this particular webinar. The aim is to, through our speakers, and we have here, apart from Shri Bhupinder Bhalla, we have Arun from the Embassy of Netherlands. We have Mr. Baroruchi Mishra, who's joined us, and he's been a key proponent of biofuels in India. He was part of Shell as a director then. And right from IS2 technology to LNG, he brings much more to the table as a technical person. We have Dr. Alok Sharma, who is also director from IOCL. And he's a figure who has been there whenever I open LinkedIn, I find Dr. Alok Sharma energizing some part on the globe by meeting people, by going to events to showcase what India is doing and how we can do better, and such like. We also have Mr. Dr. Barse from USIBC, who is here, and they're also our country support for this particular event. We could not have our representative from the Embassy of Brazil. They are also our country partner. The ambassador is very keen. And if you all recollect, the previous ambassador of Brazil during the time of President Bolsonaro was the person who actually got a team to India at that time to stitch a particular G to G connect between the two countries at that time. So I think we have enough on the platter. And I would request in the order that Shri Bhupinder Bhalla ji first addresses us based on what his vision and how he thinks the BBB Summit will shape to the future. And then I will go in no particular order, but because Arun has joined us under a domestic compulsion back at home, not going into the details, he has to leave us early to attend to those matters. So if you allow me, Gaurav ji, after Balaji, Mr. Arun can go through, and then we will structure this. So over to you, Shri Bhupinder Bhalla ji, for your opening address for this Curtain Raiser Summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colonel. Good morning, everyone. Namaste, and of course, warm welcome for the webinar. Very sad to hear about Mr. Popli. We had just met. I think I used to keep running into him at the Habitat Center whenever I used to go in some meetings, and very sad to hear that. I was not aware now. I just came to know. It is actually, it's my pleasure to welcome you all. I know I'm traveling out, so pardon me for, the lack of background and other things. I'm at home with my daughter's place in London. This is why this webinar, when Mr. Kedia and I were discussing on how to proceed towards the BBB Summit, which of course now is, as you know, is planned for 8th and 9th May. It's on track, and a lot of things are happening on organizing that event. We thought it's also good to touch base with the industry, with a fellow partner organizations, and discuss the issues, which would of course also be discussed in more in detail during the summit. So the theme that we've chosen today for this webinar, Nature's Blueprint, Strengthening the Future with Bioenergy, Biofuels, and Biomaterials, I think is a very, very topical and important subject. First, I would like to begin by thanking the Indian Biogas Association for organizing and putting this together, this discussion. It's also good to see experts joining in the seminar. I'm sure many other people will join in as we go along. And it's we can always read about something. It's very simple to read about something, but when you start acting, you want to really bring out bullet points, or want to cull out the major points for action, then you want to be on track. You want to do it the best way possible. You want to make sure that it not only satisfies the aspirations of the country, but it also meets the goals and the needs of the industry. And of course, when I say the industry, I would also like to, in this field, I would also like to include the stakeholders, which is the farmer community. The people on the ground. That's where we get our biomass from. So when we set up, we try to formulate new policies. We want to make sure that it meets all the the needs of these three stakeholders and make sure that everybody is on board. And that is why discussions like these are important, because then you get cues on, whatever you're trying to do, is it going to be something useful? Is it going to be effective? Is it going to be allow us to meet the targets that we've set for ourselves? And that is, I think, is the prime purpose of having a webinar or a seminar or a discussion prior to an event, a major event which is coming up. But also, in fact, when we were setting up, trying to establish policies, we would always have discussion industry and so on to understand what the needs are. You know, we feel that most enduring solutions for what we, the kind of, the space that we are looking at lies within the nature, in the biomass which is out there. Wherever we go, where it is there, it's in our fields. It's the organic waste which we generate daily. For India, it is very important. I think it's a very important juncture. Bioenergy has been one of the pillars of our renewable energy progress in India. It's a very small fraction of the total renewable energy space, but still a very, very important uh, element of that. And we would like to make sure that it stays on track, it continues to build up. The kind of potential we have is immense. How do we put it all together in while we are not only developing and meeting our RE targets, but also looking at India's progress? Now, if we want to become a $5 trillion economy, we must ensure that the growth is inclusive, it is resilient, and it is sustainable. And we cannot get to net zero unless we look at all the elements. And therefore, this is one of the important fields that continues to hold sway, will continue to hold sway in the government policy making, in the country's policy making, as we go forward on the path of development. As far as, since you are already in this field, you know that in the last decade, uh, government of India has made a lot of strides and efforts in strengthening the bioenergy sector. I was spearheading the National Bioenergy Program, which we launched in November 2022. And of course, now phase two is beginning. 𝘁𝗁𝗲𝗿𝗀, as you know, is something which is spearheaded by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Govardhan, which is a conglomeration, I would say, a conglomeration of different ministries, which is taking it forward. All these initiatives have been important when we look at how to make sure that India becomes a circular economy. How do we make sure that sustainability is built into everything that we do? There have been several milestones as we've continued in our journey. We have preponed our target of 20% ethanol branding, which was 2030 originally, now to 2025. 5,000 compressed biogas have been envisioned under 𝘁𝗁𝗲𝗏, and I was part of many of the meetings on 𝘁𝗁𝗏 and other initiatives, and this is just a target. In fact, if we progress well on it, there's no reason why it cannot be multiplied into a much bigger number. And then, of course, the growing network of biogas and biomethane plants, which is transforming the waste into wealth across rural and urban India. So these are some of the initiatives that GOI has taken. However, I think it's just a beginning. Bioenergy is not merely a supplementary source of power of energy. It is an anchor for sustainable agriculture, rural entrepreneurship, decentralized development, and clean mobility. Look at biofuels. I think is one of the most promising avenues in India's transition away from fossil fuels. And I think, looking at the kind of money we spend on fossil fuel import and, of course, in the economy, biofuels, I think, is going to play a much bigger role in protecting and defending India's interest as we continue to develop. We'll need fuels. If we need fuels, how do we, tap more into biofuels to bridge that gap between what we have and what we need to import? Ethanol, biodiesel, and advanced fuels are helping us decarbonize transportation, which is one of the sectors which accounts for 13% of India's GHG emissions. So it's very, very important. We've seen blending targets, as I mentioned, being met well ahead of schedule. Public sector oil marketing companies are working with private players to expand ethanol procurement, and it is also generating farmer level income. and of course creating rural livelihoods. But next generation of biofuels, again, why this ongoing, ensuing summit is going to be important. What is that next generation? Can we start on that? Can we make progress on that? Can we develop partnerships on development on use of the next generation, not only development but also use of the next generation biofuels based on algae, municipal waste, uh, cellulosic feedstocks, and these are something which hold a lot of potential. We must double down on R&D, policy support, and scaling up mechanisms to unlock this potential which is coming up. Another revolution, as Colonel Rohit was mentioning, is the biomaterials, whether it is biodegradable plastics, plant-based packaging, or bio-based textiles. The world is looking for alternatives that reduce our dependency on petrochemicals and reduce landfill burden. We can, India, with its vast agro-industrial base and thriving innovation ecosystem, can emerge as a global hub for sustainable biomaterials. But then we need an ecosystem. We need to set up and make sure that the ecosystem is there, which is rewarding innovation, which is protecting intellectual property, and which is facilitating market access. And that is why this is, discussions like these, and of course summits like the BBB Summit, which is coming up, are going to be very important as we do. It is also important to have synergy between bioenergy, biofuels, and biomaterials, and how they can drive a circular economy. Therefore, I what we need is just give you an example of how there's not only national policies which are shaping India's future, but states like the states policies. India is a very successful federal country. States like Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, and Gujarat are actively promoting bioenergy clusters. Indore and Pune are integrating bio-CNG into the municipal waste management models. Industry, of course, many of you are part of the industry, has risen to the occasion. Startups pioneering feedstock aggregation to large corporates investing in CBG plants and biofuel refineries. And essentially, what do we need? We need a converging of this effort between industry, all kinds of players, and the government. I would say governments, not only the central government, but also the state governments. All parts of the government, and of course the entire industry has to get together to do this. And I'm not mentioning here the researchers, the IITs and the different institutions which are working on, the agricultural universities which are working on agricultural residue management or research, and so many other things which are going to be important as far as this sector of the economy is concerned. Let's not even, we must not forget that all this is also important for job creation. It is estimated that 100 CBG plants can generate 10,000 direct and indirect jobs. And therefore, looking at how India is progressing and how it also needs to provide more employment opportunities, this is going to be all these, whether it is plant operation or it is logistics or it is slurry application. There's so many opportunities which are going to come up. As far as this webinar is concerned, what we are trying to do, we will be discussing among ourselves. We will want to learn from you, each of you, what are the real world cases and models that you know of. What are the successful things that we can look at? Can we consider them and apply them in some way in India, in some part of India, some industry of India? Can we collaborate among borders and sectors to make our overall goal, to meet our overall goals? I'm very, very, I'm looking forward to, of course, I will have to exit. I mentioned to Mr. Kedia that I can only join for a little while for my personal reasons. But I always look at, and this is what I always request for, not only webinar or seminar or any other event which is held. I always look for suggestions on how to take what is something that we need to do. I mean, if we, and looking forward, of course, to the summit which is coming up, I think in this today's seminar, we should try to, just cull down or bring out some of the key issues we would like to discuss in the summit, and which are going to be very important for Indian policy making, which are very important for taking the industry to another level. If we can bring out or make some suggestions on what to do, not only for the summit but also for the future. And in summit, of course, we would also like to hear about, once the discussions have taken place, exhibitions are there, discussions, in B2B discussions have taken place. What we need to have is a very, very clear, crisp 2-3 pager, 2-3 pager, 4 pages of bullet point action points in bullet form, with a little explanation on what needs to be done and by when. Then we can take it to the government and the governments and say, this is something that we all feel, this is what the experts feel, please take it forward. And now that we have eminent, we have the ministers coming in, the Honorable Minister of Road Transport joining in as the chief guest. I'm sure there will be several other key players from the government joining in. I think we should use this opportunity, today's seminar, to brainstorm on what we need to do, what in the summit, and in the summit we should brainstorm on what we need to, all the important recommendations which come out, put it together, and then they present it to the government. That is where I think we should. And in fact, if we can do some preliminary homework before the summit, when we have the inaugural session and when we have the opportunity to present it to the honorable minister or other higher level delegates of the government, we should already have some semblance of a recommendation, the basic features of elements of what needs to be done to take this industry forward. So to conclude, I mean, I don't want to take too much time. I just wanted to set the context. Colonel, of course, Rohit Dev remarkably did it well in his introductory remarks. But I thought I'll just put it together and lay it out to you as you take it forward. I thank you so much for letting me join from remotely, and I look forward to hearing from all of you later. Maybe I'm back on Sunday, and next week we can meet and then discuss how this, what was the progress outcomes of this webinar, and looking forward to meeting you all in the summit as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Balaji. I think what you have said towards the end is something to partake right now as one of the suggestions that while we're planning for the 2 white paper releases, we'll also try to get some inputs, sectoral wise, and try and put that into sort of a small compendium before the summit starts. I think that's a point to take, Gaurav ji, as well. And thank you for sharing the insights and the way forward, how our country is looking at and how we are trying to evolve synergies. And I'm sanguine that in this summit, we will have stakeholders of all kinds. And there was a question already about the finance part and investment. So we are getting some people from that domain, but also getting people who will share their experiences in these aspects. So you're all free to type in your suggestions for this event or your comments. And if you have any query about the conduct of this summit, you may also put that into the Q&A box, which is at the down level of your screens. And we will one by one keep noting down. So when you see me going off the screen, that's what we'll be trying to answer there as far as possible. Otherwise, we'll take it on towards the end. So without much ado, Arun, I think you've been waiting very patiently. Thank you for that, Arun, actually, coming from the constraint you had today. And would like you to first address the audience, and then we'll take it ahead from here. So thank you, everybody. And let's have Arun's voice first.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks, Colonel Rohit, and I hope I am audible to everyone. Perfect. Thank you. Um, So thanks for the wonderful introduction, and also for the promising speech from Balaji. And I met with him last year with the ambassador and the delegation. I don't know whether he remembers. So we signed an MOU with the MNRE during your time, which was on the larger energy portfolio that also includes bioenergy. And I could recollect that when I saw you here and listening to your speech. Thanks for the wonderful speech, Balaji. So today, first of all, thanks to Gauravji here from IBA, and also Colonel Rohit, and also the entire IBA team for inviting me to be a part of this, curtain riser event. And super thanks for taking Netherlands as one of the country partners for the BBB Summit. That is also something we are quite proud of, and we see that our interactions starting from last year from the innovation mission is kind of shaping up, and more discussion, more and more collaboration opportunities such as this BBB Summit are kind of like coming up. And happy and proud to be witnessing all these, being a part of the Netherlands Innovation Network. I represent, as I mentioned, I represent the Netherlands Innovation Network. So this is a part of the Ministry of Economic Affairs. And we, when it comes to what we do as an innovation network, we technically are not the Tinder or Bumble, the dating platforms. We don't do speed datings, but rather we act as 𝘀𝗽𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 between India and Netherlands, especially who are working on R&D. So we connect the research innovators from India to the Netherlands and vice versa, okay, through joint collaboration projects and joint R&D projects, and also the bilateral innovation calls that we do with the Government of India, with DBT and DST. So we are one of the key enablers of the R&D between both the countries, and that we do with the various thematic areas that we are focusing on. We have a specific agenda with India, which is called the WA agenda. So WA is quite, it's called WOW in English. So the W stands for water, and AF stands for agriculture, H stands for healthcare and life sciences, and the exclamatory mark stands for key enabling technologies, which is of course cross-cutting into different themes. And when it comes to this BBB, bioenergy, biofuels, and biomaterials, which is one of the critical areas that being a part of the innovation network, and also the larger network, the embassies and consulate that we are working on. And especially when it comes to, we talk about the bioeconomy, I would like to give a little bit brief about how Netherlands we see the whole bio landscape. So the backbone of whatever that we do in the biomass, in the bioenergy, and the BBB area, it's all depends on the national biocarbon strategy. So that is how we look at the whole value chain in terms of biomass, energy, and the carbon flows. So the idea is quite simple. So the carbon should stay in the loop. It's not something that we need to kind of we can exclude completely in the immediate future. So, but not just by burning the biomass, or not just wasting it. In fact, so we build closed loop systems that store carbon, reuse it, and treat it like a precious resource. So this is applicable for our processes, which is applicable for our policy, level decisions, and also which also underpins the bioenergy and also related goals on sustainable fuels to bio-based materials and anything. And when it comes to our work as a part of the innovation network, most of our work is relying on, or kind of like the guideline for our work is based on the Netherlands National Technology Strategy that talks about 10 critical thematic areas that we have to focus on. I don't remember all 10 of them, but I can say that the few of the ones that we currently working, out of the 10 are process technologies and energy materials that directly relates to what we are talking here today, especially on the BBB areas. So the one area, the process technologies, say for example, when it comes to the bioeconomy, we can talk about gasification, we can talk about pyrolysis. we can talk about fermentation and so on. And at the same time, when it comes to energy materials, we talk we give a broader aspect of energy, not just in terms of the conventional forms of energy, but also we look at more and more into bioenergy, more and more into hydrogen that Rohit just mentioned, and that also includes biohydrogen. And aligning these, we are trying to bring in better ways of processing biomass, better ways of converting biomass, better ways of making circular materials, or making the whole value chain more and more circular, more and more economically viable, and also giving yield to the suppliers. And as a part of the particular circular economy model, what we talk about is the agriculture waste, say, for example, becomes gas, and digestate becomes the fertilizer. And then whatever left goes into the building materials or even carbon storage. And that is how we build the closed loop in everything, big or small. And the approach is kind of like we see as very much well fit within India, because India is a country that generates huge volumes of biomass, crop residues, plus mud and sludge. Any forms of materials that raw materials that we use to produce bioenergy, biomaterials, biochemicals, and commodities. So I think this is somewhere the Netherlands and India could kind of like come quickly with the right systems in place. And I'm so proud to say that we, when I say we from the Netherlands, I'm quite proud to say that we have a well-proven and successful system of integrating everything together. I mean, like the triple helix, rather, I would say the multi-helix approach of how we take the bioeconomy model. So our academia is working together with the industry, and the industry and academia is working together with the government, and this is well getting implemented with the support from the society. So this is something that we see it as a very solid example globally, that many countries are kind of like wanting to follow. But at the same time, we also have been hearing from MNRE and other ministries from India. India is quite focused on how we can co-develop. That's a key word that we all have been hearing since last so many years. And this is also something that the Dutch side is quite interested in, co-developing of technology. So how we can work together, not rather than like it's a keeping it as a one-way street, how we can work together, do joint projects, do join R&D, and how do technology exchange, and well exchange the resources, exchange the ideas. And this is how we see as a solid example of how we can work together with India. It could be I'm sure this is going to be a successful model, and we already have seen with our ongoing and the work that we have done with India in the past. I think we already have seen a lot of success in this space, and we expect that that is going to continue in the coming days as well. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun. And before we let you go, so this is a good input. There is an anonymous attendee. If he or she can identify, it will be better. But while we are getting the three countries on our panels to discuss their policies and back home and their best practices, it would be a prudent idea, Gauravji, that we include specifically from Brazil and Netherlands sort of a small chapter where we have their good policies, their practices, and some cases, some subject cases of their projects and things like that, so that it becomes a little bit of a learning. And when we are putting through our summit journal, that can be those two chapters each from these two countries, and also from the US side, we can have a similar kind of a collaborative. We can take it separately with Brajesh ji and Siddhant ji later and get that done. So these three countries should have a proper probably chapter. It'll be a world of good to people, including aspects of finance and things like that. So Arun, that's for you to mull over, and please help us with that in preparing that summit journal as well. So thank you, Arun. And now, without wasting time, I'll go to Dr. Alok. But before that, there are two questions, and I will take the first one to just say, he's talking about an LOI somebody has got in 2020. Unfortunately, Akash Maurya ji, आपने तो हिंदी में टाइप कर दिया, बट मेरे को यहाँ पे कोई हिंदी का बटन दिख नहीं रहा. सो क्षमा कीजिएगा, मैं आपका प्रश्न का उत्तर अभी दे देता हूँ पहले ही, कि जो आप ये FPO के तहत काम करना चाहते हैं, तो आपके जो मैसेज बॉक्स है उसमें हमारी टीम ने मनोज जी का और अर्जुन जी का शायद कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल दिया होगा, तो आप उस पर संपर्क कर सकते हैं। और मैं आपको यकीन दिलाता हूं कि जो आपको सहायता चाहिए वो बेशक समिट का हिस्सा ना हो, बट एज अ स्टेक होल्डर इन द इंडस्ट्री आपकी मदद करेंगे। सो ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर आलोक फॉर योर एड्रेस and also trying to talk about the BBB Summit in what you perceive we can do. You want to say something, Arun? You just raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Colonel Rohit. I just want to take 2 minutes to answer the next question that Dr. Rajesh Kumar Prasad has asked. Can I?
You can, or you can simply type your email. It'll work.
Okay, I'll just quickly.
No,
I
please
know,
go ahead.
and in the interest of time, I won't take much.
No, please go ahead.
Much
Please
time.
go ahead. Answer, yeah, and as well as type some email because they will be benefited.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll do that as well. I'll write my email ID here.
Right. Just in the answer, you can write that, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for everyone who is a part of this, if there are researchers, I know there are researchers already there. So to work with the Netherlands, we have bilateral research instruments that we already have done with India in the larger Horizon Europe umbrella, which is on integrated biorefineries to co-produce biofuels, biochemicals, and commodities, which unfortunately we closed the whole call last February. Happy to see that this was one of the very few research calls that were oversubscribed by 100 times, and this rarely happened in the recent history. So that means that there is a lot of interest for collaboration between, because this call is jointly funded by India and Netherlands under the largest mission innovation project, which is a multilateral platform where India, Netherlands, Brazil, Switzerland, UK, all are working together, and where India and Netherlands are co-leading this. We also have a lot of other instruments bilaterally. You can take it up with our universities such as Wageningen and also University of Groningen, TU Delft. So there are a lot of technical universities who are active on the research. They have their own instruments which you could probably explore. And on the other side, we also are in talks with DBT. I'm not in a position to reveal so many details. So please follow our LinkedIn or follow the embassy channel, so you will get to know that if there are any future potential calls on the BBB areas are coming up. So we will keep you posted. That's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Arun.
And yeah,
you tap in your email, I guess, right? So let
yeah.
people be happy connecting with your embassy as well. Over to you, Dr. Alok Sharma ji, with this weight.
Thank you, Colonel. I'm audible? Yeah. So my fellow panelists and Shri Kedia ji, Shri Colonel Rohit ji, and ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you. As you know that we are passing through a energy transition, and our Honorable Prime Minister has given us a goal of net zero by 2070. So in line with this, most of the organizations are also giving their net zero goals, and Indian Oil has given 2046 as our net zero goal, which covers scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. First of all, how this net zero goal will be achieved. So there are many pathways which we are seeing, that energy efficiency, then renewables, then hydrogen, carbon capture, and one of the biggest role which will be played by a fuel, I will say, or an energy source will be bioenergy. And bioenergy is going to play a very critical role in achieving net zero for any organization, I can say here. And as far as Indian Oil is concerned, I will touch upon various initiative which we have taken, starting from the refining side. See, we have a lot of refinery operations where we are seeing that we can co-process some of the non-edible oils, or we can co-process pyrolysis oil from biomass. So this can be a very big initiative. We have done a lot of studies, and we are doing a lot of studies with TERI also, so that if we can produce pyrolysis oil based on bio sources, and if it is having low oxygen content, we see that it has a lot of synergy and it can be processed in refineries to produce fuels. So that is one of the source which can be a very good source for making fuels, especially. The second is, of course, on the CBG side, Indian Oil again has taken a lead, and though there were plans of 5,000 plants by the government, but there is, I will say there is a pace has not been so much, but Indian Oil has already plans to set up 30 plants by this 2025-26. We have already four plants running, and we have plans to go for 30 plants by 2026 March. As you know that there is a mandatory blending which is likely to come, and 1% by 2026, then 3% by 27, and 4% by 28, and it will go up to 5% by 29-30. So, so a lot of push is there from the government side, and finally a lot of funding is also coming from the government side. As you know, that government has launched two schemes. One especially for the basically on the this scheme is for the providing financial assistance for CBG producers for procurement of biomass aggregation machinery, which gives a funding of up to 9 crores. So that's a very good funding for a CBG plant, and this scheme is already on. And then there is a scheme which is now coming up for injection of compressed biogas in the city gas distribution. So this scheme has also come up, and CST Center for High Technology and the Ministry of Petroleum is the nodal agency for this. And if you need any information on this, you can go to the website and get it, or you can write to me also. I can help you in this. And then on the CBG side, once we get the gas, we have a lot of manure which is available. So at Indian Oil, what we are trying to do, we are trying to see that if we can value add this manure, because if you are able to value add this, then overall CBG like scenario will be a very good option for anybody. So what we have developed a enzyme-based manure, which we are adding an enzyme to this manure, and we are calling it 𝘀𝗽𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍. And we have done a lot of testing on this 𝘀𝗽𝗍𝗍𝗍 at a very large scale, and we are finding that it can improve the quality of the manure. This can act as a fertilizer, and we are getting 22% and 25% of improvement in the this agriculture output. And coming to the ethanol side, I think you might be knowing about this PM Jeevan Yojana, which has been launched by Government of India, which is on the 2G plants. So Indian Oil was the first to set up a 2G plant based on paddy straw, and we are running this plant. There are some issues in this plant. We are running at about 50% capacity right now, and we are trying to see how we can achieve the 100% capacity of this plant. 1G, of course, you know that is quite popular, and already, as also told by Mr. Bhalla, that we have achieved this 20% target of ethanol blending in gasoline. So most of the ethanol is coming from the 1G plant. Then there are talks about use of ethanol, higher content of ethanol. There are talks about flex fuel vehicle, which can use up to 95% of ethanol. So we call it E95. So those things are also coming up. And all the OEMs, like auto manufacturers, they've been given a task that they have to produce one flex fuel vehicle by this April. So they are also working on that. And again, from the 2G plant, there is a residue which comes out. So what we are doing, again, we are trying to see that if we can mix it with the CBG residue, plus we are again trying to see that if we can process this along with bitumen. Bitumen is a product which is there in the refinery, and we can use it for laying of the roads. So we have already done one study, and we have laid one road in front of our Indian Oil R&D center, which is bitumen plus this 2G residue. So this again can be a very good pathway for because the cost of the ethanol from the 2G plants are a little high. So if for the economics point of view, I think if we are able to get some value from the residue, then that will help in economics of the overall plants. Then there is one plant initiative which has been taken by Indian Oil on the 3G plant. We call it 3G, which is from the refinery off gases. What we are doing that we are doing a fermentation of this refinery off gases, and we are getting ethanol from this plant. So again, this is one of the first initiative which has been taken by Indian Oil, and we have set up a plant of 33,000 tons per annum. And we are running it. There are again some issues in this. This has come from one company called LenzaTech USA, and this plant is running with some issues, but we are trying to sort out those issues. Now coming to this SAF, basically sustainable aviation fuel, as you know that there are some indicative targets, 1% by 2027, then 5% by 2030 by Ministry of Petroleum. So we are already working on this, and the first we are trying to see three pathways. First is the co-processing of the used cooking oil with the refinery feed, the kerosene feed. Second is dedicated plants from this used cooking oil. And third one is from the alcohol to jet. So A to J we call it. So we have already taken action to start this like the HEFA process, which is co-processing of used cooking oil with the kerosene feed to produce sustainable aviation fuel. And this plant will be ready by October 2025. We are likely to, we have already placed the orders for catalyst as well as for the feed, used cooking oil. So used cooking oil is basically will be used for making this sustainable aviation fuel. And we are seeing that how we can meet these mandates of sustainable aviation fuel in the coming days. Now coming to hydrogen, see, National Hydrogen Mission was launched, and the refineries are the largest producer of hydrogen, but we produce it from methane. So that's not a green pathway. The National Hydrogen Mission has totally focused on green hydrogen pathways, and so at Indian Oil we have taken a lot of initiatives in this direction. We are working on the electrolyzers. We are working on the biomass gasification to produce. We have already developed a process of biomass gasification to hydrogen, which meets the fuel cell grade hydrogen requirement, and it is the CO content is less than 0.2 ppm, which is required for fuel cell. We are also working on CPG reforming to produce green hydrogen. So we are working on all the green hydrogen pathways, which can meet the requirement of like green hydrogen definition, which is less than 2 kg CO2 per kg of hydrogen. We are also running the fuel cell buses in the city in Delhi, and we are now going to apply some buses in Gujarat also, which will be, though it will not be on green hydrogen, but in Delhi we are running on green hydrogen, and Gujarat we are going to use refinery hydrogen for running these fuel cell buses. And at the refinery side, we are going to set up one 10,000 tons per annum green hydrogen plant based on electrolysis, and we have received some 7 to 8 bids on this, and we are going to finalize the cost for hydrogen in the coming days. And this will be the first plant, the green hydrogen plant of a higher capacity, 10,000 tons per annum. So this will be coming up at Panipat Refinery of Indian Oil, and we are going ahead with some more plants in other refineries in the coming days. There is a plan of about 350,000 tons per annum of green hydrogen by Indian Oil up to 2030. Out of the 5 million metric tons. So that's a huge chunk of the overall requirement. Then in the National Hydrogen Green Hydrogen Mission, we have also got some projects along with Tata Motors for running hydrogen fuel cell buses and trucks on different routes. Then we have also got some R&D projects under this, because this National Hydrogen Mission is giving a lot of grants for R&D projects as well as for demonstration projects. And if somebody is interested, because the second round of these applications is likely to come in the coming days. And I think that's all from my side. Indian Oil is taking a lot of initiatives and leading some of the initiatives of Government India on the biofuels. And we feel that bioenergy is going to play a very critical role in the overall energy mix and to achieve the net zero pathway for the country. I think that's it from my side. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Dr. Alok, and such a bouquet of things. And I remember last year, similar time, I think, but it was May, if not wrong. IOCL and the Indian Army signed off sustainable green fuel, memorandum as well, and long association, because they hold our war wastage reserves as well. So in all this green, make sure that there's enough gasoline to run to war as well, please. So on a lighter side. So let's go on to our representative, Dr. Barse from USIBC, who comes to the table as a proponent not only of the trade factor between the two countries, but is also very keen. He keeps a keen eye on the agricultural sector, and I was very happy when I met him very recently with Siddhant, that they are actually looking at supporting the bioenergy sector in India. So not contingent to what the US administration will take as a policy, how much fuel in terms of fossil, non-fossil or whatever, but I think certain technical key points remain. So as an adjunct to energy sector, nuclear is on the table, LNG is on the table, SAF is on the table, and I think biochar is also on the table. So these 3-4 things, out of which 3 are into the domain of bioenergy, I think are the future. And we hope that not only through this summit, but also closer association between USIBC and Indian Biogas Association and other associations as well, will take our synergies on a G2G and B2B level between the two countries to a different dimension. So over to you, Dr. Barse, for your remarks on how you think we are shaping up and how do you think this summit will benefit stakeholders and policy enunciation on both sides. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Colonel Rohit, for the introduction and briefing about the USIBC and everything. But before going for the discussion, I just wanted to congratulate IBA for organizing this curtain raiser and then planning for the summit in the coming month. And this is really a great initiative that you people are doing. I just wanted to say like a very good afternoon to all the panelists and the all participants who are present in today's curtain raiser webinar. So it's really a great subject matter where whenever we are talking about the bioenergy, biofuel, and biomaterial. So this is something is a core of my like a heart thing because I've spent almost a decade working on the bioenergy before working on the policy domain area because I was a scientist as a professional and then now I'm working on the policy side. So it's always heartening to see if something is going on the bioenergy sides and it's really great the introductory remark by Shri Bhallaji and then he has very nicely described about how government of India is doing and taking the initiatives on the biofuel side and there are a lot of things that been like planned and then a lot of new kind of a committees and everything is on place wherein they can work on the policy and the regulatory harmonization and everything and you can correlate when Balaji was like briefing about the government of India interest and their initiatives on this particular domain areas. Now, and that just we recent Dr. Sharma from the IOCL, the kind of a tremendous work the IOCL is doing is renewable energy and the kind of like as you said that he has just opened the bouquet of the things like we can't imagine that one company is like everywhere in every all aspects. Even during my time when I was working on the bioenergy, the IOCL was the like a great partner to us for making the technology for the second generation ethanol. So it's very nice to see, and this is a very timely initiative by the IBA to organizing this BBB is a bioenergy, biofuel, and biomaterials, which is like very important to discuss at this moment when we are discussing about the carbon footprint and then lowering the things and everything. So we are always supporting these initiatives and I just wanted to brief you how the US India Business Council can joins the hand and then support in this particular initiatives and we can take this forward. So as the theme you have this nature blueprint and we are discussing about strengthening the bioenergy, biofuel and biomaterial. So similarly, in the USIBC, we are also having a different sectors wherein I myself is leading in the pharmaceuticals, food and agriculture. And when we talk about the agriculture, this is the most important part when we discuss or initiate any kind of a discussion or work on the bioenergy sites, because this is something which is very core. So from the US India business side, we are launching the US India Agriculture Working Group and that working group is really very important at this time to shape up the policies on this particular segment. So like you have three B's with you and which denotes the bioenergy, biofuels and biomaterials. So I have in US India Bioenergy Agriculture Group is 4F, which is the like a backbone of this 3B. And this 4F denotes the food, feed, fuel and fodder. So we are setting up a kind of a committee wherein we can initiate the dialogue between the two nations because we work with the United States and the government of India. So these 4F will definitely bring a kind of a new pathway or new roadmap to get these bioenergy and biofuel research on a speedy path. So that's the things because we are talking about these things, and we need to see how the academicians are doing and how the government of India putting their effort. Because since I mentioned that I was like associated with Department of Biotechnology and worked on the bioenergy segments, wherein I can see how the academic institutions are like putting their hard work, and then they're developing the technologies, and then they're trying to translate this into the commercial level. So this kind of a platform wherein we are inviting all these startup companies or all the big companies who are coming and sharing their thought process. And then it's very important at this time to include the academics in this particular dialogue, or the kind of a participation of the academic institution in this summit, so that they are already doing the research in particular direction, but they can easily align themselves to see the focus area on the bioenergy sides. So a lot of research has already been done by the some of the Indian institutes and some of the international institutes, and now it's a time to join these academic institutions with the industry, and then take this technology and the different level, because now they are into the, I guess, TRL 4 or 5, and it's a time to start up companies to join hands with these academic institutions. So to take this for the greater level, scale up the things, join hands with the big companies like IOCL and other oil industries, to take this on a different commercial level. So this is how I think the IBA should do this kind of a relation between the academic and the industry, which is like very, very important to discuss, because there are always a discussion on the industry academic collaborations. But I think that organizing a such kind of an event where this IBA is taking a lead can bring the academic in the line of the industry. So I think that would be the wonderful things that we can achieve, and we can lift up the all research and the commercialization aspects all together. Again, on the US side, so we are working very closely with the various agencies or working on the energy sides. We are very keen to join hands, initiate different dialogues with the IBA and other association, so that we can have a strong collaboration with the United States to take these things ahead. So bioenergy, biofuels is majorly discussed, but I'm very happy to see the biomaterial part, which is now like into the discussion, and a lot of people are working on this bioplastic and using the lignocellulosic biomass on the food agriculture waste or the food waste, and they are using the renewable chemicals to make the bioplastic for the food packaging or for different other purpose. So I think, and all such things, if we integrate together, so we can really align our climate and the what we are talking about, the nature blueprint. Actually, this is the time to realign the nature blueprint into this renewable energy things. So from my side, I just wanted to conclude, and I wish that this summit will be more productive, and then we can see the more participation from the startups, especially, and the academic sites, and the big leaders of the oil and gas companies can join and bring something new and some very constructive. And of course, US India Business Council is always there to provide the bilateral support between these two big countries who are dedicated for this energy segment. So this is all from my side, and thank you very much for organizing this curtain raiser webinar, and then coming up the next summit in the month. And we will be happy to be part. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Over to you, Colonel Rohit.
Thank you, Dr. Barse, and very kind of you. And happy to hear more avenues for synergy as well between the two countries. So we'll talk about it probably after this seminar as well. So I think lots to be done. I will quickly move to Baroruchi Mishra ji, who's been waiting very patiently. And he comes from a very, very technical background, being director at Shell. And he was one of the babysitters as well for the 𝘀𝗽𝗀𝗀 technology, which they have evolved. And today he's forayed differently into a segment which I also think is a huge potential in the Indian market, not only from our utilization point of view, but from our exports point of view in the future, which is the LNG. So without much ado, I will hand over to Baroruchi ji. Please go ahead and just in terms of these two small aspects of technology, how we are going to discuss and what parameters during the summit, and anything you want to say, and how this summit can further be harnessed towards these two segments, and and get more stakeholders to join in. So what kind of stakeholders we are looking at? Thank you. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Colonel Rohit. Much appreciate the opportunity, and very delighted to see the number of people who have joined, and of course, a very distinguished panel we have. So thank you. Without talking a lot about the landscape and the opportunities, let me directly dive into two things. If this was not on the platter that you just dished out or people talked about, this is BioLNG. And this is catching up in Europe, and very actively people are looking at BioLNG and trying to understand how they can scale it up. Now, the rising the earth ray, if you will, for BioLNG is this. For long distance transportation, EV is a challenge, for the simple reason that for 1,500 kilometers or so, 1,000 kilometers, or even 500-600 kilometers, the challenge is because you'll have to first is the load of the battery, and then recharging and what have you. For transportation, therefore, there are two options if you're not using diesel. One of it is hydrogen, and the other one is LNG. And then we'll slowly get into BioLNG. Now, hydrogen, it's thermodynamically proven that the amount of electricity, the energy that we have from the input for making EV cells, EV batteries, etc., 86% of the input energy is utilized. For hydrogen, 45 to 50% of fuel cells, 45 to 50% of the energy would be utilized. So it is not very, very conducive for small distance travels where EV does a great job. But for long distance, hydrogen is an option. Fuel cells are an option, especially compressed hydrogen, which could, the volumetric density, gravimetric density of hydrogen is very high, 2.5 times of natural gas, but the volumetric density is 325 MMBtu per SCF, which is very low, and therefore compression, etc., needs to happen. So that leaves LNG, and LNG is being used as we speak. We have 200 LNG trucks in India, or 2,000 LNG trucks or thereabout. In Europe has many more, maybe 200,000 or so, and they're wanting to go up much higher. And China brings 500 to 1,000 LNG trucks every day on the road. So LNG, therefore, is already a used and accepted mode of transportation for long haul road transportation, etc. Now, LNG is very costly, $8-10 per MMBtu is what we are getting. I mean, we are not self-sufficient enough, but we are self-sufficient in biomass. And therefore, BioLNG is an area or is a pathway which will really help us get to a situation, and in a very distributed model, where we can have the CBG, purify it, and we can talk a little bit about purification, or in a later session, we can go into all the details of the purification membranes, pressure switch, swing absorptions, etc. But these are, the technologies are all there, and in fact, Europe has many of these BioLNG facilities, and they are targeting to get from around 1 to 1.5 million tons per annum of BioLNG. And then the liquefaction. Now, liquefaction could be by, you have mini micro, which is 0.05 million MTPA to 0.002 005 MTPA, because CBG plant productions are small. So if you have in the remote village, etc., or you can gather where you can set up 3 or 4 CBG plants or 2 or 3 CBG plants, we can have a truck mounted LNG or liquefaction, purification and liquefaction facility. We can park it there, convert, get the CBG from the standard processes that are followed, convert it into bio-LNG, and then put it in ISO containers and transport it to the demand locations. Or if there is sufficient accumulation, then set up LNG refueling facilities. And there are many in India. We have a lot of LNG refueling facilities already. SR has 200, 600 LNG trucks, Ashok Leland, and quite a few people already there. So it can either go to LNG refueling facilities, or it can go to LNG regasification terminals in Dahej or Mundra, wherever, or Hazira, and then gets into the pipeline. The difference is not there in the molecules of LNG that you make from fossil fuels, or you make from bio-LNG. So this is an area that we'll have to deeply look at and try and exploit. Now, what is the challenge there? The challenge is the cost, because LNG is $8 to $10 per MMBTU, or I mean, that is what folks buy. Petronet and Shell, Hazira, and others, they import LNG in this dollar range unless you have a crisis and it goes high. Even IOCL might be exporting around this number. What happens is the cost of manufacture. I mean, if you just looked at the bare cost of manufacturing of LNG, you could get to $5 per MMBTU for small scale in China. You have 3.5 to $4 per MMBTU, in the scales of 0.05 to 0.5 million tons per annum. In the micro scale of 0.05, etc., diseconomies of scale creep in, and therefore the costs are higher. But so you can get to around $5 per MMBTU as a cost of production of $6 per MMBTU, and then of course plus your profits and financing costs and what have you. For bio-LNG, things are different. The reason why things are different is because there's a lot of processing involved, because you don't get the CBG which comes out, it will have X percentage of methane, which will not lend itself, and nasties, which will need to be purified. From a pure burning perspective, that CBG is not a problem. You can still burn and get enough heating value. Of course, the Bobbe index, etc., might be difficult, so you can't fire engines with it. But for dairies and other stuff where you need to just have the heating values, that is possible. Or you purify it and make into compressed natural gas. For LNG, the purification is important. That is one aspect of the gas purification. The other aspect is, because the scales are small, the standard SMR, Shell mixed refrigerant processes, or DMR, or Phillips, ConocoPhillips processes, etc., which are used for large scale LNG liquefaction of gas, etc., is not there. You could get down to very small. So Shell came up with a mini modular MMLS, as they call it, liquefaction trains or stations, which they could do truck mounted. But even for that, you might have to put roughly 10 CBG plants and what have you. So for mini scale, there are many players who are in the market, like Wärtsilä, Air Liquide, you have AP Group, you have Galileo, you have Sterling, and quite a few of these people, they make these things for, so these are similar to what they use for liquefaction of nitrogen, etc., although the heating cycle, the cooling cycles, etc., are different. So Sterling, so they look like an IC engine in that sense. There's a compression and expansion, and therefore there's a continuous cooling cycle without the need. Helium could be used, but it is not a very elaborate liquefaction train that you would normally have, or heat exchangers, or the cold boxes. You will need cold boxes, and this is a different model than what you have for large scale LNGs. And therefore, the cost for this are in the range of, so when I said $8 to $10 or $5 to $6 per MMBTU, that would correspond to roughly $1,000 to $1,100 per TPA of LNG. That is the cost per ton, 10 tons per annum terms. This one will get to around $2,200 per TPA. Still much, or in the range of $16 to $18 or $2 to $20 per MMBTU. Still much lower than hydrogen. The reason is this: $2 per kg of hydrogen corresponds to $15 per MMBTU for LNG. And we are making hydrogen today at 3, 4, 5. China has been talking in the Bofang plant at 2.5 or $2 per kg. But essentially, we are talking about $4, $5, $6. Holland Hydrogen, one of Shell, is costing $7 per kg. So $2 corresponds to $15 per MMBtu of LNG. And if you're talking about $4 or $5, you're talking about $50 to $60 or $40 to $50 per MMBtu of LNG. Clearly, the hydrogen economy will not take off. This one gets to around $20 per MMBtu, but that's the cost in Europe. In India, we could get a lower cost. Why? Because the labor costs are lower. So we are $6 to $8 per man hours for labor. Our engineering costs are low, and Europe is $30 to $40. Our engineering costs are lower, $30 to $40 per engineering hours against 100 euros per engineering hour in Europe and 120 in US. Steel indices for India are very closely tracking China's steel index. So in 2019, India's steel index was in fact lower than China's steel index. Today, for structural steel, hot rolled coil, cold rolled coils, etc., we might be deck plates, we might be 10 or 15% higher, but just about. Like for like, Alfa Laval, and this was 2-3 years ago, Alfa Laval India ships out exchangers which are 3 to 4% to 5% cheaper than Alfa Laval China because it doesn't have exotic metallurgy and what. So therefore, there is a great opportunity register for us to bring down the cost of bioenergy that is being done in Europe to what we can do in India. I'll give you an example. And my US friend is here. So Galloway, which is a RLNG, renewable natural gas plant, which takes the gas from takes the manure from the dairies. It makes CBG and then CBG, and the cost of that entire plant for 7,500 MMBtu per year came to about $100,000. A similar plant, near similar plant, but half the dollar per MMBtu, but half the MMBtu per year, which is around 330 or 350,000 MMBtu per year, was made in Indore, and many of you must be already working at 1/4 of the cost. If you add, the reporting may not be right, even 1/3 of the cost. And therefore, there's a very stark difference in the cost. The cost factor for India could be in the range of 0.4 to 0.5 compared to Europe. So there's a great opportunity for us to push bioenergy into the mix of what we have for the biofuels. And I'm sure this will catch up pretty soon. And I'm very happy to take more questions on this. But the other one is 𝘊𝗿𝗁, which is waste to fungible hydrocarbons. And the yield of that technology is the highest. For SAF, it can be run in a mode where SAF can be the prime product in the product slate. 60% of this could be SAF. And the cloud, what is that? Freezing point or the cloud plugging point? Yeah, freezing cloud plugging point is below detectable limits, -80. For the refinery fuels of aviation fuels is around -40 or so, and the density of this is 820 per kgs per meter cube against what we get from refineries or from HEFA, etc., at 750 to 770 kg per meter cube. So therefore, this is producing premium fuel. Yield is 25%, much more than any other technology that we have for this. And this is a Shell first technology by Shell. A demo plant is already there, and I had the opportunity to be the decision executive on this. This has been run at 3.5 tons per 5 tons per annum per day is the plant, demo plant in Shell Technology Center in Bangalore. And it has been run at maximum of 3.7 or 4 tons per day. So let me stop here, Colonel Rohit, and I'm happy to take questions. I hope I've not exceeded my time. We're very delighted with the kind of gathering that we have here, and I'm sure this must be very inspiring very encouraging for the government that there's such a huge interest.
Thank you.
As a country.
Thank you, Baroruchi. I think you bring to the table a lot of insights and this glimmer of what you have shown today. I think it will be prudent for the bioenergy world to be there on 8th and 9th May in Delhi. And you can see the total gamut of biofuels we're talking about. He's talked about 𝘀𝗫𝗀𝗀, a beautiful technology, drop-in fuel, 4 kinds. You have LNG on the table, you have CBG on the table, you have biomaterials, and countries which are very, very proactively interested in that story of Bharat as well. So I think these are a very good times to live in, actually, whereas there are challenges. But I see each challenge has got a humongous amount of opportunities which come with it. So breaking down a challenge is very easy through analysis. And if we put the right measure of resources the manpower included, I think we can derive that change which we look at going towards net zero 2070. So now I think not the last or no to say, but the one of the best I kept for the last, actually. So he is the man who has curated a lot of insights in the market, who has inspired a lot of young entrepreneurs, and his journey has been quite good. And in fact, Baroruchi ji, he's also worked in Shell, if you remember the time we were talking together, the three of us, a few months back. And I think Gaurav ji brings to table is a very holistic approach to growth of the bioenergy sector in India. And you must see his work. He keeps updating me on his, 𝘀𝗽𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 Unnati. That's the Hindi part of it, and a beautiful concept. And I think the day has come with a huge amount of technological infusion. He's going to carry that a long way ahead to ensure that we have this rolled out soon. And the government, which is trying to, state-wise and central-wise, spend less on this particular field, they're going to get a little richer because they will save a lot of money this going into the hands of the gaushalas and the corporate themselves. So I think happy days ahead. And without much ado, I think we are good for time, Gaurav ji. We are supposed to close at 4:30. I'll push it by about 5 minutes because we started 5 minutes late. So you can have your 7-8 minutes. I've answered most of the questions on the panel. There is only one question pending, probably was. Now there are 2 more I will answer, then not to worry. Sweet sorghum, I have answered to somebody. Napier grass is similar, so no problem. There is a plan to do feedstock for pellet industry also. Bhavik ji, you can get in touch. I think in this answer, both answers, I would request Arjun to type in the IBA email ID where they can contact, because in few places I have typed my ID. It's better that IBA types it so that we can take this offline as well. Only one question remains, and that I'll come to probably a little later, is to do with why IOCL has stopped providing LOIs. And just a small point, they are bridging a lot of partnerships. So they are going a different route. It's not a public kind of a system happening anymore, because their numbers in which they have to do projects are increasing as per the mandate they have taken onto themselves, given the government policy and push both. So I think that is a short answer there, but if there's anything to add, it can be added by Dr. Alok later. Over to you, Gaurav ji. Please tell us a little bit about what all will be covered in the biofuel segment in the summit, and why should Young India also join. And once you finish, I will probably summarize in a couple of minutes, and then we can see if we have more time. Over to you, Gaurav ji.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon once again. I think a lot has already been said. So what I can do, it makes my task easier. Actually, I can take my heart out, and maybe we can talk about some very basic point. Why BBB? And why now, right now? What more we can do, how we can really create some impact instead of just talking about it. So if I take a step back, one of the open question, which personally I see is that, we all are talking about energy transition. We are talking about 2070 goals. We are talking about 2047 when India becomes the developed country. So basically the open question is, should we think about development-led transition or transition-led development? We are very clear. Let it be development-led transition, because we need to develop first for sure as a country. And this is where I personally feel very happy, or I feel that we are living in an era where a lot can be done as far as the bioenergy is concerned. And when you talk about bio, whether it is solid, liquid, or gas, in solid at the end, along with the energy, you also get carbon, right? When you talk about, let's say, biodiesel, along with the biodiesel, you also get glycerin. When you talk about so-called biogas. Along with biogas, you also get fertilizer, fermented organic manure to be exact. So basically, we need to appreciate the beauty of nature. Whenever you are talking about bioenergy, you are never left alone as such. You are getting something in addition to that. So I never personally feel that, let's say in case of biogas, biofertilizer is a byproduct. Actually, maybe it depends on the scale. Sometimes it becomes a main product and the gas becomes a byproduct, or at least we can just weigh both of them equally, if not less. And that is something we really need to look into it. So all the time we try to put things in three buckets: technical bucket, financial bucket, and social bucket. A lot has already been talked about the technical bucket, I guess. When you talk about A to J, when you talk about SAF or CBG or whatnot, 3G, 2G, anything we can keep discussing, which is very interesting. But when you talk about technical bucket, one thing is very clear: we need to talk from the India perspective. Do we really need such kind of very high tech in India? If we need, till what level? Health, safety, environment, all these things need to be in place. As Colonel Rohit already informed, I used to work for Shell in Germany earlier. So one of the things which I never ignore is the safety part, and safety has to be totally intact. Otherwise, believe me, the whole project doesn't make sense perhaps. Then comes to the financial part. And in financial, I think we should not get confused between the direct and indirect revenue, so-called. And that is, again, very important. If I think country as a whole, right now, I don't know, we are importing 23, 24 million metric ton of LNG, perhaps, maybe a little more. So if I can replace a part of it with bio-LNG, as Mr. Mishra was talking earlier, that itself is a big deal, because ultimately when you talk about bio, everything is something which you are producing locally. Otherwise, imagine, you have got a bike and the fossil into it is coming from somewhere from Middle East or somewhere else. But the so-called organic waste from your local vicinity is not getting converted and landing into your bike as such, which seems a little ironical. I think this is where we need to put our foot down and try to understand what more can be done, because ultimately, if you can become more vocal for local in a manner which is more sustainable in a globalized world, I don't want to really say that we only need to offer the local, but when you talk about sustainability we need to achieve in a very localized fashion. Let it be very, very clear. And I think this is where, again, the bio ecosystem comes in picture. So when you talk about bioenergy, biofuel, and even biomaterial, now bioplastics, this was already covered. Otherwise, what we are doing, we are simply converting so-called crude into plastic. And then I don't know what is happening with this plastic. At the end, there is a very scary, I would say, case study, how plastics are being ended in sea, and ultimately it is getting dissolved in salt, and in our salt we are getting so-called microplastics. So I mean, things can be gloomy, but the good news is that when we come as a team, when we talk about the problem as a team, there is always a solution, and this solution is not very complicated. I think when you talk from the technical perspective, there is a technical solution. We need to see how better we can model it financially, how we can get push, maybe in the form of subsidy, maybe in the form of soft loan, maybe in the form of policy, maybe in the form of any XYZ we can imagine. And then comes the pool part. I'm personally very optimistic and very sure about the pool part, but I think we are going through this transition as we talked, and this is where we need to really identify the right push which we can get as far as the sector is concerned, and definitely pool has to be there. I mean, if we don't do it, then someone else has to do in future, but it's better to do it right now, because perhaps we can still come out with a balance as far as the nature and all other things are concerned. But the third bucket even becomes very interesting when you talk about the whole bio ecosystem. And the third bucket is the social bucket. We keep saying that India is a relationship-driven society. I mean, India is a cost-sensitive market and a lot of other things. We need to really see how can we really fit our things in the local ecosystem in a very localized manner without assuming anything. We need to really face the fact that if locals are not going to accept this XYZ thing, we need to be very pragmatic and we need to understand how to really, how to be proactive and try to imbibe the right knowledge proactively, not reactively. So I think this is where the thing becomes very interesting. Just one last, perhaps, social model example. So many a times we feel that we cannot sell biofertilizer or fermented organic manure, mainly because it's not possible to sell at such a scale. Although from association side, we are advocating quite a lot with the government of India that they should have a Satut-like scheme for fermented organic manure as well, which in my personal opinion should be possible. But what we can do, we can come out with a social model. Selling organic fertilizer is a difficult task, that too in bulk. But selling organic cropping is not a difficult task, especially when you are in tier 1 city or nearby tier 1 city. I think this is where we can try to bring a lot of other stakeholders into picture, including farmers for sure, otherwise not even possible, where we try to create the whole supply chain that we give our organic fertilizer to, let's say, farmer, we get the contract farming done, and we buy back everything, whatever they grow, and then perhaps it becomes easier. Of course, it's not a good idea to do everything by yourself in the whole value chain. This is where business models need to be there. This is where more stakeholders need to come into picture, and this is where the whole ecosystem has to really come. And this is where we are talking about BBB Summit as such. Let's identify the problem. Let's identify the respective solution, and it will be a very much localized solution. I don't want to generalize any such social model as well. Otherwise, again, failure will happen. We need to be very clear what is possible. Perhaps in Punjab is not possible downside south in India. So let's be very honest, clear, and try to accept what works, what may not. And let's see each other in person during BBB Summit on 8th and 9th of May. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Over to you, Colonel Rohit.
Thank you, Gauravji. I
sir.
think
I need to go
Baroruchi
now.
needs to leave. Yes, Baroruchi, you may leave if you want to, because I think you have an engagement exactly at 4:30. So thank you for your time. I will just summarize in the meantime, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you to the audience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So it's been a good opening curtain raiser for this event, and only with the exit of Baroruchi ji, we have come down from 100 to 99. Otherwise, we were maintaining the Tendulkar era throughout the webinar. Now, coming on to the brass tacks, let me, for the audience, just define to you what this event is structured like. So we have 2 fixed days and 3 materials on the table: bioenergy, biofuels, and biomaterial. The first day and the second day both are generally common till their first part. So we have on the first day, that is 8th, a round table, which is by invite only, of course, because they're going to be a larger stakeholder there from the government side, from friendly foreign countries and captains of the industry there. So we are seeking that to happen early in the morning. And then we will have a round opening of the small exhibition we have this time, constrained due to the space in a hotel. So next time we'll take it to a larger domain, and we wish to host this event next year onwards as a flagship event every year on a similar timeline in Yashobhumi. And then we have the inaugural function where Honorable Minister will be there along with other dignitaries. And post that, we'll have a small fireside chat where the Brazilian ambassador will be probably talking about the COP30 and what synergies India and Brazil hold together. This may fluctuate to day 1 or 2, depending on the availability of both the ambassador. While they have confirmed on both days as of now, we have to match his itinerary with the concerned minister as well. So thereafter, we'll go on with our session on bioenergy. The first part will take care of the biomass part in terms of all the activities from field to logistics and warehousing, coming on to densification, briquetting and pelleting, and then taking it up again downstream towards the boilers. And we'll discuss about boiler operations and challenges there as well, and how the industry is shaping. So for this part, we will exhort a lot of densification and boiler industry, stakeholders, right from the manufacturers, OEMs, and the supply chain partners, and people who maintain workforce management, carbon, catering institutes, some research scholars, and also government officials will be there for each session to take down that ideation notes. Then we will progress on to the bread and butter of the bioenergy space, as you see it today, is the supply chain management issues of the biomass, whether it's agricultural residue or any other form from MSW otherwise. So we will have very, very experienced leadership there on this panel to answer your queries, and we'll try and put in touch of even finance part, and we're trying to get two good players there. One is confirmed, second one is to confirm by this week. And these gentlemen and ladies will also be available during that day for you to have sideline discussions and things like that. So I picked up a couple of names from today's webinar where people are very keenly interested to know more. So I will ask them to write back to IBA and seek specific interest leadership to interact with you on the sidelines, and we'll try and fix those meetings with you. Otherwise, you please keep a day extra in Delhi when you are here, if you're traveling from outside, to be able to meet either them or the fora of experts which are under the umbrella of IBA. They can also meet you on the sideline, and we can fix that up with Gauravji's blessings either on 9th or maybe on 10th as well on the sidelines. The entire process will also have some awards given to recognized people, some who have worked in this sector for a long time in terms of decades. And then we will go to the second day. In the second day, we'll have a similar feature. We'll have a ministerial roundtable on biofuels. The first day would be, the roundtable on bioenergy and biomaterial. And then we'll go on to the inaugural of the biofuel session, where we'll again have a minister and some officials of the government of India as well. And then we graduate to the two sessions on biofuels, followed by one specific session on advanced biomaterials and other technologies. Interspersed on both days before your tea breaks would be some product presentations from very, very niche technology companies as well, who are going to showcase their technology. So you may like to be there as well. And towards the end, we will have a validatory function as well, where we'll try and get a chief minister and also concerned officials for that validatory function as well of this event. We are open to suggestions still. You may write to the emails given that how best you want more to be added to the bouquet of bioenergy, which we are taking up on 8th and 9th. And also, if you have any queries on how to attend this event, some of you may not be able to attend both days, but you are keen for one day. I can understand the cost for travel and accommodation in Delhi. So if you want to only attend for, say, the biofuels, you may come on the early morning of 9th and leave by late evening of 9th. That saves you the money for accommodations. Like this, you can plan. I've requested the summit organizers as well to break those costs for you. Please get in touch with Arjun and Manoj, whose names have been flashed. They can curate the best package for you to be a delegate here. If you're keen to also showcase your ware, because there will be stakeholders and officials and foreign friends and even the ministers going around your stalls. If you want to showcase, and if you are a small company who are not getting that bandwidth to spend so much of money, I would recommend come together as 2 or 3 companies. Will still help you with some kind of I will not say subsidy, but some kind of discount on your stalls. If you are a briquetting plant manufacturer or a supply chain player, you want some thing to do there, because you must appreciate that we have got overhead cost by going into a hotel this time. So obviously we'll have to bear that as a team, as a group of stakeholders. We are also inviting for this particular summit some farmers, some stakeholders from the youth of this country as well, from some colleges, and also some military personnel also are being invited because they are also the users of energy in a long measure in our country. So overall, holistically, we'll try to incorporate all stakeholders, including experts. And I just wish that all of us who are here today can take the message forward to other stakeholders in the industry. So it's nothing to do about an MNRE or a MOPNG or some kind of an event. It's a holistic event covering all the canvas of bioenergy space, covering all the ministries involved, and you will have a lot of say at the end of this particular summit. If your suggestions are good, we will incorporate that as suggestions received from the environment, and also mention your name and your company so that you also feel involved in the overall process of growth of this industry in our country. And our aim, and particularly my aim and Gauravji's aim, always is to support the industry to carry it forward as a team together, make it more decentralized, get more players into it. Because today, if you see, with all these announcements happening in the bioenergy space, the upstream value chain is still very weak. It's not very structured, and also the offtakes of the energy are still not mired with long-term contracts insofar as private sector is concerned. So I think there are too much to talk about it during this summit, and I will wish all of you to be there. If you personally need any other, I will not say favor, but any other concession to be there, please attend and call me and Gauravji directly if you want. I think you have our numbers. Otherwise, the team can share currently on the chat for everyone. You can contact me and Gauravji. I will recommend WhatsApp it to us because we may not see your message or pick up your call. Especially, I don't pick up ringers on WhatsApp. It doesn't ring. And if I don't get back to you on that particular moment, I will for sure, and I'm quite sure Gauravji for sure by the weekend will get back to you and make sure that we have been able to help you. So I also thank the key supporters from the Embassy of Brazil, Netherlands, and USIBC. I think your wholehearted support and that too unquestionably, because we didn't have to make any sort of a pitch deck to you to join us. And that was the best part, that you also believe in the story to take it forward. So I think a lot of synergy, and per se, I can say that at least 5 more countries were agreeing to be in this. But since we had already the 3 of you, earmarked previously, we didn't change that at all. And we'll get more of these countries joining us in the next 𝘁𝗍𝗎𝗎 Summit, because we'll have 3 different pavilions of bioenergy, biofuel, and biomaterials also in the exhibition. And say, for example, in the biofuel segment, we will have a CBG pavilion, a LNG pavilion, a SF pavilion, and things like that. So it's going to be much bigger. This is only a test run as the BBB Summit this year. And if your help is forthcoming, I think we will do a lot of good mutually and for our country as well, and also bring in the best practices and the global outlook. We'll try and get the Global Biofuel Alliance officials also for this summit, especially on the second day, if feasible. That'll be a good point for you to also bounce off your prospective plans as countries, as bigger companies who are coming to the table to discuss and probably take it ahead. So thank you very much to the organizers as well from Indus Exposium, Mr. Sharath and Gauravji. You've been all the help, and small players like us are always available to help the big ship sail. And that's from my side. And if still somebody has got something to say, you may raise your hand from the audience. And if the organizers see it, we'll probably take a query or two. But I just have to see 3 more queries here. Let me answer kindly. Share the scheme applicable to CBG. Mr. Mohit, I have shared it twice already. If you can just scroll back. Otherwise, just write to Arjun, and he will compile all those links and PDF files and send it back to you on the email. Anybody who's got a problem as a stakeholder in the densification industry to set up plants, contact me. Somebody has got issue and planning to do with CBG, contact Gauravji and his team. Our emails are there with you. We will get in touch with you, and we will make sure that the entire value chain is understood by you before you invest your time and money into that project. And we'll help you. And somebody was very, very nice, I think is some young person who wrote that if IOCL is going to set up all plants, what will you do? So obviously there's much for you to do there as well. You can do CBG and plus more. I've written a few blockers for you where you can enter the bioenergy segment. Please connect with me on the email. I will, help you understand this sector as well. And for all the time we have, I think it was a very well conducted, input from all our speakers. So thank you, Dr. Brajesh. Thank you, Dr. Alok, who's now left. Thank you to Mr. Baroruchi, Mishra as well. And I thank you to Arun, who was here for a brief time in spite of his domestic issue today. And Bhalla was absolutely erudite in his, exposition today to tell us about where we are as a country and where we are going. And Gauravji, as always, tries to touch the right chord, which is the connection of the heart and the mind, which is most important in any business today. And certainly we are not, blue smart, but we have to be green smart in the future. So thank you everybody for this, and thank you the organizers. Thank you very much. Namaskar and Jai Hind.